In this video, we're going to look at VLookUp or vertical lookup, which allows us to match data in our spreadsheet to values in a table that we've set up. And this is a lot more efficient than doing multiple or nested if statements to match these numbers, for instance. So here we've got all the different courses that these people are signed up for, and there's a specific cost associated with that. So instead of having to manually check, okay, this one's 1,500 Rand and so on, we can use VLookUp to automatically populate this column, because of course this table could be a lot longer, and so we wouldn't want to do it manually at all, or with very complicated if functions. So I'm going to show two different ways to do the VLookUp. I'll start with the insert function option, and I'll just type in VLookUp there. Okay, and you can see here we've got four different arguments that are part of the function. So the first thing is the lookup value, which is in this case the name of the course, and you can see it tells you that there, that it's beginner. The table array is this little table that we've set up, and we would want to make that an absolute reference so that when we copy this formula down, that table doesn't move. Another way would be to make this a named range, so we could just name the table instead of having to remember that it was F1 to G5. So it might even be on a different sheet. Then the column index number, that's where the answers are that we're looking for. So this is column 1, this is column 2, that's where we have our answers. And then it's not a range lookup because we're just looking up the word beginner or email, Excel, etc. So it's going to be false. And you can see it's already giving us the answer there, 1,500, which is correct because the beginner course costs 1,500. I'm going to click OK there. And you can see it has given us a formula that looks like this, and we can copy that down, but I'm going to manually type it in the second one, and then we'll copy that down. For the second one, we want to know how much the Excel course costs. So I'm going to type VLookUp, and the lookup value here is Excel. The table array is this, and I'm going to make sure it's absolute reference so that it doesn't move when we copy it down. The column containing the answers is column 2 there, and it's not a range, it's an exact match, so we're looking for the exact word in the list. And there we go. So now I can copy this down, and it should give us the correct costs of each of the courses. So Excel there again, 2,500, Internet 1,300, and so on and so forth. So that's a very basic VLookUp function, and we use the VLookUp or vertical lookup because our little table is set up vertically like that. In this example, we're going to use VLookUp but on an interval or a range. So for instance, we want to look at these students' marks, and our table contains a range. So if you get between 10 and 30, then you get a G symbol. If you get above 80, you get an A symbol. If you get above 90, it's an A plus symbol, and so on. So these numbers that are 53, 51, 98, etc., they're not exactly on this table. So that's where we're going to use the last argument to be true instead of false. And I'm also going to name this little table so that I don't have to type in or remember the exact cell references. So I'm going to select it, go to formulas, and choose define name, and I'll call it symbols. This is the list of marks and symbols. Okay, so now I'm going to work out what symbol this first person got here. So I'm going to type equals VLookUp. The lookup value is her mark in G3. The table array was called symbols, and I'll start typing that, and the name that I saved comes up, and you see it highlights it. And again, this could be stored on a different sheet entirely. And then the column containing the symbols that we want is in column 2, and it is a range lookup. It's an approximate match rather than an exact number there. So I'm going to choose true, and then close brackets. And 69 we know is between 60 and 70, so they got a C. And we'll copy this down now. And we can see 99 is an A+, 52 is a D, 70 is a B, and so on and so forth. If the numbers are not coming up or your results are not coming up correctly, it's possible your table's the wrong way round or something like that. If it gives you an NA, it indicates that there's nothing in the table that VLOOKUP can display or use. And that's a quick overview of VLOOKUP. Very useful if you want to look up values, and you can have wider tables as well, and you just tell it which column it's looking for, and it works.